Most bizarre temples on Earth, unseen sacred wonders. Temples are meant to inspire reverence, but some do more than that. They surprise, unsettle, or simply make you double-take. In this video, we'll travel across continents to visit 15 of the world's most bizarre, uncanny, and visually unforgettable sacred sites. These are places where faith, art, folklore, and engineering collide. Chapels decorated with human bones, cliffside monasteries that defy gravity, shrines crawling with rats, and prehistoric stone circles that predate written history. Each temple on this list tells a story, sometimes macabre, often miraculous, always compelling. This script blends history, sensory detail, visitor experience, and cinematic cues so you can narrate like a documentarian. For each location, I'll explain what makes it strange, how it came to be, the rituals or legends around it, and quick B-roll ideas, dawn light, close-ups, ambient sound, to make your footage sing. If you're making a YouTube travel doc, use the suggested on-screen beats and transitions. Slow reveal shots for eerie sights, drone pullaways for cliff temples, and intimate close-ups for ritual moments. Ready? Let's step into the world's most bizarre sacred spaces. Sedlec Ossuary, Kutna Hora, Czech Republic. Walk into a small Gothic chapel outside Kutna Hora, and the first thought is that bones? The Sedlec Ossuary, often called the Church of Bones, is a subterranean Roman Catholic chapel whose interior is ornamented with tens of thousands of human bones arranged in chandeliers, garlands, and a macabre coat of arms. Its origin story is practical and grim. During the 14th century Black Death and later the Hussite Wars, local cemeteries overflowed. Bones were exhumed and concentrated in the chapel. In the 1870s, a woodcarver named Franisek Rent was commissioned to artistically arrange the bones, producing the famous bone chandelier that supposedly contains at least one of every human bone. Visiting feels like stepping into an ossuary museum and a place of quiet prayer at once. Low, reverent lighting, the scent of stone, the patina of centuries. Capela dos Ossos, Chapel of Bones, Évora, Portugal. Portugal's Capela dos Ossos takes the Sedlec concept and turns it into a contemplative chapel. Built in the 16th century by Franciscan monks, the interior walls are lined with skulls and long bones, arranged to create rhythmic patterns that transform human remains into architecture. Above the doorway, a famous, blunt inscription reads, Karni Mata Temple, Rat Temple, Deshnak, India. Imagine entering a temple where the sacred animals are rats, and where those rats are pampered, fed, and venerated. That's Karni Mata, near Bikaner in Rajasthan. This 16th century shrine honors Karni Mata, a female mystic regarded as an incarnation of the goddess Durga. Local legend says that Karni Mata's followers, and even her family members, reincarnated as rats. Today, tens of thousands of black rats, called kabbas, scurry through the temple halls, underfoot and over devotees' offerings. A few albino rats are regarded as especially holy and are given particular reverence. Visitors buy sweets to feed the rodents, walk barefoot across worn stone floors, and accept the possibility of a rat brushing their feet during worship. For filming, capture the rhythmic scurrying as a kind of living carpet, macro shots of small hands offering milk or sweets, and the ritual cleaning that happens daily. Sensory notes, an earthy smell, the rustle of tiny feet, the high energy of devotees offering prayers. The Karni Mata experience is not just bizarre, it reframes what devotion can look like and how belief animates everyday life. Hanging coffins, Sagada, Philippines. High in the limestone cliffs of Sagada, a handful of communities practice a funerary custom that looks like something out of a myth. Coffins are suspended from cliff faces or tucked into crevices. The hanging coffins are an ancient Igorot tradition intended to bring the deceased closer to ancestral spirits and protect them from animals on the valley floor. The most famous sites are in Echo Valley and the surrounding caves, where slender wooden coffins some carved generations ago, dangle on cliffs, or are placed in niche-like burial spots. Visiting is a humbling, eerie experience. You stand beneath the coffins and feel the verticality of time. Families literally hanging their dead above living paths. Capture long shots that emphasize height. Xiankong, Hanging Temple, Maoheng, China. Built into a sheer cliff face in Shaanxi province, the Xiankong Temple, literally suspended monastery, appears to defy gravity. Dating back more than 1,500 years, rebuilt and repaired across dynasties. The temple perches on wooden beams inserted into rock crevices and connected with brackets and planks. Walkways and halls cling to vertical stone like a film set. The site combines Buddhist, Taoist, and Confucian elements, reflecting its long, syncretic history. Stand on the narrow corridors, and you feel the cliff breathe. Temple bells seem to hang in the void below. To film, a drone approach that reveals the temple's precarious shelf, point-of-view sequences along the narrow planks, and close-ups of carved eaves and faded Tiger's Nest Monastery, Bhutan. Perched on a granite cliff 900 meters above the Paro Valley, Paro Taksang, popularly the Tiger's Nest, is as cinematic as any myth. Legend holds that Guru Padmasambhava flew to this rock on the back of a tigress and meditated in its caves. The monastery complex that stands today was founded in the 17th century around these sacred grottos. The path up is a steep forested trail, lined with fluttering prayer flags and the scent of pine. Pilgrims arrive breathless, encountering stone stupas and red-roofed temples nestling into the cliff face. Photographing this site works best with layered compositions. Hikers on the path in foreground, the temple midground clinging to granite, and clouds moving through the valley below. Small details matter: butter lamps, crimson robes, the rhythm of mantra chanting. Kailasa Temple, Ellora Caves, India. Carved downward and outward from a single massive rock, the Kailasa Temple at Ellora is an architectural stunt and a work of devotional theater. Constructed in the 8th century by cutting away volcanic basalt, the temple complex is a monolithic marvel. Columns, sculptures, a towering shikara, and life-sized animals all hewn from the same stone block. The result reads like a cathedral chiseled from within the earth. The dedication to Lord Shiva and the scale of carving make Kailasa unique. It's not assembled from blocks, it's liberated from rock. Visiting induces a tactile. You can run your hand along a pillar and feel the same stone that forms a gargantuan elephant outside. For your film sequence, open with a wide reveal. Walk back slowly to show the full courtyard. Then move into sculptural details, friezes of myth, carved answers, the central sanctum. Interviews with conservationists or archaeologists about top-down carving techniques add depth. Kailasa's strangeness lies in technique. It's an inverted construction project. Removal, not addition. Ta Prohm, Angkor, Cambodia. Angkor's Ta Prohm Temple is famous because nature won a contest against architecture and tied the temple into spectacular knots. Built in the 12th century, Ta Prohm was intentionally left largely unrestored so visitors can see how trees, chiefly Tetrameles nudiflora and giant strangler figs, have enveloped walls, towers, and galleries. Massive roots flow over lintels like frozen waterfalls. Windows and doorways are framed in living wood. The result is both haunting and romantic, cinema-ready. It starred in Tomb Raider. On camera, time-lapse sequences of shifting light through root-laced openings, slow reveals through mossy corridors, and audio captured under the canopy. Bird calls, insect hum, bring the place alive. Ta Prohm's bizarre power is ecological, a temple swallowed by jungle, where stone and root compose a new, hybrid architecture. Wat Rong Khun, White Temple, Chiang Rai, Thailand. This is not an ancient temple. It's a modern, surreal reimagining of Buddhist symbolism. Wat Rong Khun, the White Temple, was conceived and funded by artist Karni Mata in the 1990s and is an expressionist shrine covered in white plaster and glittering glass fragments. Its all-white palette symbolizes the purity of the Buddha, while the mirrored mosaics refer to wisdom's illuminating nature. What makes it bizarre and compelling is Karni's iconography. Mythic creatures mingle with modern pop culture motifs, and graphic sculptures in the outer zones depict a moral battle between desire and enlightenment. The visitor route itself is theatrical. Cross a bridge over a sea of hands, representing worldly suffering before entering the white sanctum. Filmically, this temple rewards crisp, high-contrast visuals, slow glide across mirrored mosaics, macro on mirrored fragments, and respectful wide shots inside the sanctum where photography might be restricted. What Rome can challenges expectations of temple by staging a contemporary, often provocative spiritual narrative. Wat Samphan Dragon Temple, Nakhon Pathom, Thailand. Outside Bangkok, a 17-story pink tower spirals skyward, wrapped by a sinuous green dragon. Wat Samphan's exterior is theatrical. The dragon coils around the cylindrical spire, and its head peers from the top. Visitors enter through the dragon's cavernous mouth and can ascend via stairways that cut through the dragon's body in the tower. The temple's scale and color palette give it an almost theme park feel. Its crypt-like interior chambers are lined with statues and devotional spaces. For filmmakers, the structure is an exercise in scale. Wide lenses to capture the dragon's full coil, low-angle shots that dramatize the tower, and interior cuts of incense, smoke weaving around painted dragons. The site is an example of vernacular creativity. Sanctuary of Truth, Pattaya, Thailand. Rising from the Gulf of Thailand's edge, the Sanctuary of Truth is an all-wooden temple complex carved completely without nails. Conceived by Thai businessman Lek Viryafant in the late 20th century as a spiritual and cultural monument, the temple is a forest of carved columns, figures, and mythic scenes drawn from Buddhism and Hinduism. The craftsmanship is obsessive. Artisans carve complex panels of gods, cosmological creatures, and philosophical allegories. A living workshop whose pieces are continually maintained. The architectural language is dense and baroque, yet it's organic wood, warmed by sunlight and salt air rather than stone. On camera, detailed shots of chisels, dust motes and shafts of light, and the hands of master carvers elevate the narrative. This is devotion expressed as craft. The sanctuary's strangeness is its modern scale and the decision to build a sacred monumental complex in timber, an ambitious, timber-bound dream about universal truths. Göbekli Tepe, Şanlıurfa region, Turkey, if bizarre, includes deep time. Göbekli Tepe may be the strangest temple of all, excavated over recent decades and now protected as a UNESCO site. Its massive T-shaped limestone pillars carved with relief animals date back roughly 11,000 to 12,000 years, predating agriculture and the pyramids. People built monumental stone rings here before settled farming became widespread, overturning long-held ideas about social complexity and religion's sequence in human history. The carvings, predators, birds, abstract symbols suggest a symbolic world of ritual that hunter-gatherers could support. For a filmmaker, Göbekli Tepe is a thought experiment. Slow, contemplative tracking shots across the carved reliefs, atmospheric dawn light to imply deep antiquity, interviews with archaeologists. Its strangeness lies in chronology, a temple older than cities, demanding we rethink the origin story of sacred architecture. Rock-hewn churches of Lalibela, Ethiopia. Lalibella's 11 monolithic churches were carved from living volcanic tuff in the 12th to 13th centuries, forming a subterranean complex used for worship and pilgrimage. The most iconic, St. George Bet Georges, is a cross-shaped church hewn entirely below ground level. To walk its terraces is to walk through an enormous single sculpture carved out of earth. The churches are still active centers of Ethiopian Orthodox practice. Liturgies, candlelit interiors, and pilgrims moving in processions. The result is architecture as devotion, space carved to house rituals, with centuries of soot and prayer giving texture to stone. Cinematic angles work well. Silhouette of a monk against the church portal, handheld interior to capture chanting and incense. Drone exterior reveals the cities and terraces cut into the hillside. Lalabella's bizarre quality is less theatrical and more sublime. Ancient craftsmen turned solid rock into sanctuaries in a gesture of profound faith. Buddha Park, Xian Quan, Vientiane, Laos. Not a temple in the conventional sense. Buddha Park is a sculpture garden that blends Hindu and Buddhist iconography into surreal, almost Dali-like forms. Built in 1958 by mystic Luang Pu Bunlua Silalat, the park contains more than 200 statues, huge concrete manifestations of mythic beasts, multi-armed deities, and a giant reclining Buddha. The centerpiece is a multi-level pumpkin structure visitors may climb through, whose chambers are dense with sculpted scenes of heaven and hell. The park's cement textures, weathered patina, and semi-abandoned atmosphere